the issue of abortion does continue to loom large, and I think will continue to loom large because you have cases still unfolding, challenging the laws, some of the more draconian laws that have been passed in states across the country. The latest comes out of Texas. Put this up on the screen. So the Texas Supreme Court has now paused a judge's decision that would have allowed a woman to terminate a pregnancy in which her fetus has a fatal diagnosis. So this woman's name is Kate Cox. She lives in Dallas. She's a mother of two. She would love to have a healthy baby girl, but her fetus has been diagnosed with a deadly genetic condition, which will allow it only to live for potentially a few days out of the womb. There's no doctor who is saying that this fetus could survive. And yet, in the state of Texas, she has been banned from being able to have an abortion. This is having huge physical health costs on her. She's had to be admitted to the hospital with horrific pains and cramping because of the problems with this pregnancy. A lower court had ruled that she could go forward with the abortion, and now the Texas Supreme Court has stepped in and halted that judge's order, although the case is still ongoing. What the Texas Attorney General had argued is that the state would suffer a, quote, irreparable loss should Kate Cox be allowed to terminate her pregnancy. He writes, because the life of an unborn child is at stake, the court should require a faithful application of Texas statutes prior to determining that an abortion is permitted. And that is the side that this Texas judge sided with. Let's go ahead and listen to Kate spoke to NBC News about how painful this has been for her, how painful this has been for her family. Let's take a listen to what she had to say.
It's a hard time. Even with, being hopeful with the decision that came from the hearing this morning, there's still, we're going through the loss of a child. There's no outcome here that I take home my healthy baby girl, so it's hard, just, grief, but I think that, joy and grief can coexist, and there's moments of joy. I'm really grateful for my wonderful two children that I have and my wonderful family. And, it's a moment of sadness, but we really have a wonderful life here in our home state. And so, I just try to count my blessings.
And as if that wasn't enough, Saagar, put this last piece up on the screen. Ken Paxton, again, the Texas AG, has threatened to prosecute any doctors, to file criminal charges against any doctors who did perform the abortion on this woman. This was after the lower court judge had ruled that they may do so. How do you think this polls, guys? Forcing this woman to deliver to term this baby who has no prayer of surviving, going through all of the torturous trauma and physical pain that is involved in this, the state forcing you to do that and criminalizing any doctor who would, do the right thing and perform this procedure for this poor woman who is clearly suffering. It's pure insanity. And, when Republicans try to say, let's shift the subject and let's talk about Democrats and their extremism on this issue. These are the stories that are actually unfolding, that people are witnessing and seeing the extremism and the fringe views in action. I can't imagine it's even a majority of Texans who support this direction of, their own elected leadership.
Yeah, and actually, this is the one thing. This is actually a faithful interpretation of a lot of the evangelical view on this issue, which is why I think it's such a loser politically, because what they would say is, look, there's always a chance, and yeah, if it perishes after it's born, even though the median survival is 2.5 to 14.5 days and a 90 to 95% chance that it won't survive even a single year, that would set the preconditions that would basically set the preconditions for using it as for a eugenics-like policy for Down syndrome and for all these others. And I fully understand that, and I agree it's actually a massive moral quandary and all of that. But we also do live in a democratic, in a democratic country, and it's very clear through the way that the American people previously supported the Roe versus Wade consensus was such that dealing with these types of issues, dealing also with rape, incest, and exceptions to the life life of the mother and severe health trauma and all that was a decision that Americans are broadly comfortable allowing their citizens to make for themselves. And I think most people can listen, to this. And it does fly in the face, too, of a lot of their abortion messaging for the Republicans, as you were talking about with late-term abortions. This is not like a Lena Dunham woman who's like, I wish I'd had an abortion. She's like, I've had 2 kids. Like, I'm dealing with trauma myself. Like, this is a horrible situation. She's like, I wish that this wasn't a situation that I'm in. And I think a lot of people, too, can really sympathize just with the basic idea of, like, I cannot believe that the state is telling me they can make the decision for me at the level of not only criminalizing it, but ordering it from a judge. So that's one where, look, this is Biden's only chance. I think it's his only chance. We talked previously about Kentucky. Abortion was a huge driver of the Democratic vote in Kentucky, and that ad that was run against Daniel Cameron was a woman who'd been raped by her stepfather when she was 12 years old, and she just looks directly into the camera and she's like, Daniel Cameron would force me to have to carry his baby. I mean, these are brutal. This is just a place where electorally the results are in, and all the pro-life cope around how this wasn't going to materialize in electoral blowback it's absurd now at this point. I think a story like this is animating enough that it could have significant electoral impact. I really believe if Biden has a chance, and it's one of the reasons I still say 50-50, it's because of abortion. I don't think he's got a prayer on anything else, but it's potent enough that it really could.
Yeah, I don't think Hillary Clinton is going to rescue him.
No.
But the Kentucky example is a great one because, listen, Democrats have been getting their asses kicked on abortion in the state of Kentucky for years. And that turned like this the minute that Roe was overturned by the Supreme Court. And that ad with that young woman straight to camera talking about her experience and against Daniel Cameron, that was one of the most powerful ads in that entire election and helped secure a Democratic victory for Andy Beshear in a state that is very red in terms of Kentucky. So when you think about these stories like Kate Cox's playing out across the country, the type of, very evocative stories that Americans just instinctively find this horrifying, that the government could force this woman to carry this baby to term. Trump's going to be getting asked questions about this. What is he going to say? I genuinely don't know what he would say in reaction to this. It's hard to know because, he's obviously very uncomfortable on the issue. He had the instant reaction of like, this is going to be bad for Republicans, and he's right. But he's the one who put these Supreme Court justices on the bench. This was the key promise that honestly got him elected back in 2016 and kept evangelicals in line, who are now, his most fervent base of supporters. So I do think that this is, the one big issue that hangs over the 2024 election. That and the Trump criminal charges are the two things that could potentially
and third party
flip things and third parties. So there are a lot of wild cards here. But, the trauma that these women are facing is, I think, going to be a central component of how things unfold. Hey, guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So, again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.